Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Seth.
Hey, how's it going?
I have some questions for you.
That sounds great.
Can you tell me a little bit about what you do here at Electric Era?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the VP of engineering. I'm responsible for our current generation of product and its operation in the field.
Awesome. I'm going to rapid fire some questions. Is that cool?
That sounds great.
Okay. There have been some challenges in the EV charging industry lately in terms of outages and downtime and reliability. How does Electric Era build defense around that?
Well, we already have. Because we have an edge-based site controller that manages assets, our charging station at the site, locally on site. We don't actually depend on any particular, for example, like cloud, like AWS or Microsoft Azure or anything like that from being available, much less the internet, in order for our stations to function. So we actually have kind of everything functions exactly the same way, even if you are offline. So we're actually quite well insulated against those types of failures from occurring. Obviously, we like to keep a pulse on what's happening with the industry and make sure that if something does happen to charging stations in the wild for other partners, that we have systems in place that guard against that.
Industry insiders claim that maintaining high uptime is easier for smaller companies. How does Electric Era's approach ensure reliability as we scale?
So I think it fundamentally starts with product. Like scaling reliability can't work if the product doesn't itself also work reliably. So, because of this, we're actually pretty focused on building a reliable product to begin with. It's actually pretty intelligent. It utilizes something we call an edge site controller, where we can put the brain and the body of the charging station together. That means it can support offline payments, it can handle network outages, and in general, it can fix problems on its own through a process we call FDIR, FDIR, fault detection, isolation, and recovery. All of those allow the stations to be autonomous so that the operator load is generally low over time, even as we scale.
Can you explain how the technology Electric Era actually improves with scale rather than becoming more prone to failures?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is actually fundamentally a data problem. So if you imagine, if you have one station in the ground, you're only getting so much data about vehicles, charging sessions, the reliability, the mean time between failure of mechanical failure of various parts. As you install more stations, all of that data starts to increase exponentially, and so that's really important. For example, right now, within a few days of rolling out changes to improve vehicle interoperability, we actually have a ton of data on different charging sessions across different vehicle manufacturers that tell us hey, this vehicle interoperability situation is better now than it was before.
All right, we got a juicy question here.
Okay.
So we've heard whispers that competitors are kind of dismissing our reliability claims. What would you say to skeptics about our ability to maintain performance as we grow?
Well, I guess our track record's been exactly the opposite of that. As we've grown, our session reliability has climbed and climbed and climbed into the 90%, and it's holding there and getting better day over day. And it kind of really harkens back to what I'd said previously, that having more data is helping us grow better and faster and stronger. When you have that kind of fundamental product that is good at fixing its own problems, at being easily updatable, having more stations in the ground and more data to work with is a blessing. It's not a curse.
Can you tell me about Pierce? What is Pierce?
Pierce Technologies is our on-site maintenance partner, and they're actually a really, really good partner. They came from the telecom industry, which, like EV charging, is critical infrastructure. So they actually understand what it means when we say, hey, we need you to get out onto site within 4 hours, and that's what their service level agreement provides. Anywhere in the country, they can be at one of our charging stations within 4 hours, and that's incredibly important to ensuring high uptime if a mechanical failure occurs.
Can you tell me a little bit about how Electric Era's approach to inventory management and parts distribution to support the growing network? Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the place where we start is with a metric called mean time between failure. So, how often do certain parts, what is their lifetime before they fail? And based on that, we actually inventory spare parts in sufficient quantities to make sure that we always have enough to replace anything that might fail due to mechanical failure or vandalism or any other reason. And then as we scale up, we actually leverage our partner Pierce Technologies, who has warehousing located regionally all across the United States, and we begin moving that inventory so that it is closer to our charging stations, and again helps satisfy our requirement that we have high uptime.
Can you explain our strategy for network operations team sizing as we scale? How does this compare to industry norms?
So, I mean, it kind of plays back into the first topic that we discussed. Like, our operations team is going to have to grow over time as necessary to support operational load. But like building and updating charging stations that are already good at managing themselves will actually like kind of keep that team very, very lean and very, very efficient, so that it really doesn't have to grow that large. I think it's kind of perhaps a little bit difficult to speculate on what the rest of the industry does, but we suspect that like you know if you're building products that require a lot of handholding, then you're going to have a big operations team in order to try and handle that.
How does third-party workforce bring scalability and reliability to our company?
So, we leverage partners that already have deployed at huge scale, like SK Signet with all of their chargers, which are DCFC chargers, are all across America now, and Pierce Technologies, which already was used to serving the telecom space. We combine that like raw scalability from our partners with our expert products and software design and operations to kind of like manage that relationship, so that it's like these two things just kind of come together to create like something that can just scale very, very fast.
Looking ahead, what innovations is Electric Arrow working on to further enhance our scalability and reliability?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of more like what aren't we working on? But I'll call out a recent example of something that we are doing, which is we're actually building a software layer kind of deeper into the charger's operational stack of software to actually get even more granular control of like how charging sessions are functioning, when they start, when they stop, like what this will do is it'll unlock an even like kind of like additional layer of session reliability and allow us to update that faster, which is going to be really important as the EV industry keeps like growing as we have more and more different types of EVs enter the road.